Hi there and welcome to our GTV preview show for the race meeting at Turffontein on the inside track. That's of course Thursday the 24th of April. We've got 9 races on the card, the first off at 12:05 and we're joined as always by Alistair Cohen on the line. Hi Alistair, how's it going with you? All good?
Yeah, good day, Graham. All good, my side. Trust you are as well. Just 48 hours out from the final day of the championships, up on the Halfveld, and then we kind of get into champion season, which means from a Halfveld perspective, we'll see some good, promising youngsters step through the ranks, potentially with an eye and a target on champion season, and also quite a few race meetings that might shape up a little bit on the trappy side. And I think that's pretty much the case on this card. I suppose it's going to be a typical calm before the storm before the group racing action this weekend. No grade 1s, but a few grade 2s and grade 3s to look forward to. Some exciting baby races here at Turffontein on this Thursday. Just bear in mind we're on the inside track, so all races are around the turn, but I think overall the word competitive gets used quite a lot, but this is the epitome of a competitive card. I don't find it all that easy, but we know with the not so straightforward comes some promising dividends, so let's hope we're on the right side of it all.
Well, on that note, let's get straight into it. The first race, a maiden juvenile plate for fillies over 1,200 metres. Again, just to remind you, as Alistair's just mentioned, that we're on the inside track. So draws are a factor. We've got 9 fillies lining up for this juvenile plate over 1,200 metres. The betting is as follows. Number 2, Back From War, is at 4-1. Number 3, Brighton Brazen, 5-1. The short-priced favourite is number 5, Matcha Mint at 14-10. It caught the eye on debut in a small field when running third behind Jingleberry. 7, Shimmering, a newcomer, is at 7-1, and 8, Waiting on Charlie, is at 4-1. Take us through the race, Alistair.
Yeah, interesting start, Graham. I think there's a little bit of form to work with. I think the reasonable starting point is number 5, Matcha Mint, a well-bred daughter, give me the green light out of Carrigathers, who didn't run but was trained by Orman Ferraris. Raymond Danielson got on board first time, and she gave a little bit of a thrill, did Matcha Mint, because the word was out about Jingleberry, and Jingleberry runs in a feature race on Saturday. She'll be lining up in the Pretty Polly Stakes, which will be race number 1 on the card. So there's a sort of a hint and a bit of a clue as to the direction that the De Kock team is taking. Obviously, we don't have any evidence as far as concrete indication how the form is going to work out, but Matchamat gave a good size. It was just run out of it late by Jingleberry, who obviously ran as if she will come on with a run under the belt. The second horse, the horse called Gulf of America, who was also whispered to be above average first time out, so you'd expect with the natural improvement, the old cliches at play here, the number 5 Matchamat will take a significant step forward and probably deserves her place at the top of the boards and does rank as the horse they all need to beat. I've got a bit of time here for number 3, Brighton Brazen, out of draw number 1, the Daughter of Erupt. Interestingly enough, finished in front of number 2, Back From War, when they met in a feature race in the Ruffian Stakes about 2 months ago. Obviously, from that form line, we've seen Green Diamond come out and win, and Green Diamond only won the South African Nursery, so that all stacks up quite nicely. I think number 3, Brighton Brazen, is a deserving horse to have a good look at. And then about the Dawson pair, a bit of class might need a little bit further, but she's putting up good work. Hopeful that she can sneak into the top 4. But number 8, Waiting on Charlie's going to run a nice race here, Graham. It might be 1 run behind the 8 ball in terms of fitness, but she won't be beaten 5.75 lengths like she was on debut. She actually stayed on very, very nicely after getting a dicey start. Craig Zaki was very excited to get the ride back. That was in the first juvenile race of the season. I think she'll run into the top 3, number 8, Waiting on Charlie, but she might be 1 run premature as far as winning and from fitness side, but she's a nice little filly.
Well, there we go. Being on a 9-race card, the first does not form part of the exotics, but the second certainly does. Opening leg of the bipod. It's a maiden juvenile plate over 1,200 metres. First-timers look set to dominate. Question mark. We'll get Alistair's view in a moment, but here's the betting. Number 1, Alpha World, Son of One World, on debut at 4-1 for the Johan Janse van Vuren yard. Number 2, Balule, is at 9-2. Also on debut, and another debutant is number 4, Geostorm. In fact, tops the betting boards at 2-1 from the Tony Peter stable. 2-year-old son of Buffalo Bill Cody from a very speedy family. Just to note that number 5, On an Impulse, makes its debuts at gelding, was gelded on the 2nd of October, not in the betting at this stage. Number 8, Princess Kira, has got some form, that's at 9-2, and number 9, Vipingo, is at 4-1. That has been placed 3rd and 2nd in her first 2 starts, well beaten on both occasions. Alistair, the obvious question, it's a tricky start to the bipod in the sense that there are a number of very well-bred newcomers. Are they likely to dominate?
Well, my typical comment here applies, Graham, is as far as the money horse come race time in the first leg of the bipod, probably worth including. But I do have a little bit of an inside scoop with number 9, Vipingo. The fact that she gets a sex allowance, she's got experience under the belt. She's working very well. She's a nice filly. A little bit disappointed that she hasn't won yet, or didn't at least get closer last time out. But she's got something about her, number 9, Vipingo, and these first timers will have to be quite sharp to turn her over, especially dropping in distance. She just never quite travelled in the early stages last time out, when running second to Sister Golden Hair, and the third horse trained by Mike and Matthew de Kock is also held in fairly high regard according to the tea leaves. So I can't put anyone off number 9, Vipingo, but with that said, there are some very appealing genetics in this race. Let's start with who is the current favourite. Number 4, Geostorm. You mentioned the speedy family. Geostorm is a full brother to Buffalo Storm Cody, who's come alive since gelding, now rated 110, and a half sister to the 116 rated daughter of Jackson, Freed from Desire. So the Peter Yard certainly know the family very well. They know how to get the most out of the family. Gavin Lorena takes a ride. Maybe that's a clue in itself. So I respect the fact that there's money around and a bit of talk and a little bit of expectation about Geostorm. Then we go on to Alpha World, who's only had one sibling to run and is a 12-start maiden, so there's not too much to get excited about as far as the genetics are concerned. But the fact comes from a powerful yard from Johan Janssen van Vuren, got a good draw, got Samago Kamalo on board. And being by One World, there's obviously a hint that there might be a little bit of precocity about number 1, Alpha World. And number 2, Balula, for Mike and Matthew de Kock, has got the deepest draws. I was reading the de Kock comments that they posted the weekend. They went to town giving the whole week's lowdown, and he doesn't seem too bad, Balula, but there is a little bit of a stance that he will come on with a run under the belt and be more effective over further. So there's a little bit of food for thought there. So I'm going to wear my heart on my sleeve and say number 9, Vipingo, is going to be the horse to beat, and she might be hard to beat, but I'd hesitate to bank her in the bipod. I will row in with number 4, Geostorm, just in case he is above average, and there's a good chance that he might be.
So there we go. Moving on now to race 3, first leg of the Place Accumulator. Maiden played 1,450 metres. The off time is 1:15. Before we get into the betting, just that form update for number 1, Honor Jet Plane. Ran second, narrowly beaten by Cape Saffron on the 17th of April, so that's a form update. And in fact, number 1 on a jet plane is top of the boards at 2-1, along with number 7 Concordia. Number 2 Winds of Grace is at 3-1. Number 3 Milo's Millionaire 6-1, and on debut number 10 Witching Hour is at 15-2. Those are the runners that are in the betting. This is the first leg of the Place Accumulator. It's over 1,450 metres, Alistair. Where do we go here?
Oh, the PA is my suggested bet, Graham, and I don't like the look of the race at all. When On a Jet Plane is towards the top of the boards, you know that you're in a spot of bother. Was potentially an unlucky loser when going down very narrowly, although you could probably argue Cape Saffron would have been an unlucky loser had she not won with the reins being dropped at the 200 metres mark. But On a Jet Plane went down oh so narrowly when there was a bit of support for her, so at least she's in the swing of things, and you know, she's back to form. But with that said, I'm finding her a little bit hard to read because I don't think she's the most reliable around, and she's not got the most ideal draw. And I know that she's run second over 1450 over this course and distance, coming back from a mini break before behind runaway winner Blind Ambition, who's simply not looked back and holds an entry for the World Sports Winning KZN Fillies Guineas next Saturday. She was well beaten, and the way that she was staying on just a week ago, she might be running out of real estate late, number 1 On a Jet Plane. Not completely writing off her chances, but I've left her out of the place accumulator, which is my suggested bet. I've gone in here with numbers 2 and 7. Winds of Grace has also got an awful draw, but was used up quite a lot in the early stages last time, but finished six lengths behind Lapis Lazuli. It's the run before that makes a little bit of appeal on this course, when finishing 4th behind Heavy Lies the Crown. On that occasion, finished in front of Milo's Millionaire, who obviously had something he missed last time and might have needed the run. But I think Winds of Grace at least is coming to hand, and I'd like to believe that she's good enough to maintain that level of form and run into the top 3 on what looks to be a fairly average maiden. Number 7, Concordia, with Gavin Lorena on board, as the horse that I'm going to visit as my number 1 choice here, Graham. The daughter of Rabada started her career over 1,000 metres behind Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson doesn't seem all that bad. Second horse, Nyaka Nyaka, came out and won. And there are a few other horses in and around Concordia that have run places, including Simbine, who improved for Hollywood Racing. And then last time, that 4th behind Little Miss Splendid, although the form line is quite flat, I don't think for Concordia's point of view it needs to be all that strong in a race of this nature, because of obviously the sort of the form on offer. So I think that she's got a lot of scope to improve, especially stepping up in distance with the runs under the belt. I'll make her the horse that they all need to beat in the first leg of the place accumulator.
Well, certainly not a strong race, certainly not a race that's going to take a lot of winning. The average merit rating is 56. That's about as shallow as maiden plate as you'll ever find. But 7 Concordia is exempt from that because she's only had the 2 starts, no official rating. She may be way ahead of the curve. So 7 Concordia, the one to beat in the 3rd race, and Alice has gone with number 2, Winds of Grace, as backup in the opening leg of the place accumulator. Race 4, first leg of the pick 6, maiden plate, 1,450 metres, 13.50 is the off time. Here's your betting. Number 2, Curtis Condor, 19 to 10. Number 4, Mistakes is at 11 to 2. 5, Golden Alexia, 7 to 2. 6, Amanato, 9 to 2. And the market rival to number 2, Curtis Condor, is number 8, Mighty Eagle. Gavin Lorena teaming up again with Tony Peter. Mighty Eagle is at 2 to 1. I know you're in the camp of number 2, Curtis Condor. I've had a fleeting glance at your suggested place accumulator, confident that at the very least the grey son of Lancaster Bomber will run in the top 3. But is he going to take some beating in the opening leg of the pick 6?
I think he will, Graham, although I'd set up my stall and say that it's a race in 2. I'd leave it open-ended for number 8, Mighty Eagle, at the very least. But I think Mighty Eagle will need to step up to beat number 2, Curtis Condor. These are the reasons why he was free-spirited on debut, was number 2, Curtis Condor. He came out of the stalls very gingerly. He made up a lot of ground. He ran like a horse who's just not going to win too many 1,200-metre races. The tongue tie goes on, the headgear goes on, Samanga Kamalo's back on board. If he's learned anything at all, he'll take all the beating in the world. The step up in distance, home course experience under the belt. I'm not going to say the lack of opposition, much like the race earlier, because there is a little bit of form to work with, but I just don't think that there's anything that's going to improve like number 2, Curtis Condor will. I mean, the way that you want to see a first-timer stay on was exactly how Curtis Condor did. Hit the line running, hit the line with a lot in hand at the pull-up. Was in front of the horses who finished in front of him at the line. Give Me a Storm might have taken a while to win. Mizzen Sword is obviously a professional maiden. The horses in behind Curtis Condor wouldn't get tongues wagging too easily, wouldn't make headline news. But with that said, I just think he's got too much to come in a race of this nature. Shouldn't miss on the place accumulator, shouldn't miss on the bar pot. If you're uneasy, the only other horse that I can recommend is number 8, Mighty Eagle. But in the pick 6 that I'm likely to take on this card, because I think it's going to pay very well, although I'll take a percentage of a pretty big perm. I think this is probably where you need to set out your stall, to be honest.
Okay, so there we go. That was the first leg of the pick 6. We move on to race 5, first leg of Jackpot 1. We move into handicap racing. It's a Fillies and Mares 94 divided handicap. Over 1,600 metres, we have 9 runners carded, no scratchings at the time of recording, which is, of course, early on the Wednesday morning. Number 1, Miss Hannigan, 6 to 1. Number 2, Soldier's Eye, 5 to 1. The favourite is number 3, Too Late, My Mate, at 5 to 2. 5, Glamorous Lady, 8 to 1. 6, LMB is 6 to 1. 7, I Am Regal, 7 to 1. 8, One Religion, 6 to 1. So the majority of this 9-horse field are quoted in single figures, a clear indication that the race seems very competitive. It's the opening leg of Jackpot 1. Take us through the race, Alistair.
Yeah, Yeah, not an easy race, but an interesting race all the same. I've got 3 horses in this leg of the Place Accumulator, which obviously opens things up as far as the competitive nature of the race. I want to start with number 8, One Religion, though, Graham. She's got a certain style of running that I'm not sure about her over a mile, but the way that she can stay on in her races, I think makes her quite appealing, of 52 kilograms. The draw doesn't worry me because she's going to likely take her medicine, drop in, and be asked to make up a lot of ground. The last one behind Do It With Diamonds. Do It With Diamonds, I know, ran second subsequently, but she stepped up and won again, beating LMB, who's another key horse in this race. Avo on Toast finished 3 lengths in front of One Religion, came out and won. That's a direct winner from that form line. I think on the back of a little rating drop and being by Silvana, I think it's a matter of time before she sparks up. And these consistent places are going to become a string of wins. That's just the idea that I get of number 8, One Religion. She's perfectly placed as far as the handicap is concerned, this being a fillies and mares 94 for a rating of 78. She's in off the bottom weight and not under sufferance. Caden Brewer's well worth is 52 kilos, and the Magna Yard looks like it's starting to bubble well. So I've got a lot of time for number 8, One Religion. I make her the value in the race of her price of 7-1, but there probably is a little bit of value to anyone's eye in a race of this nature. Number 3, Too Late Marmite, cracking run last time behind Kamensky. Kamensky runs later on. Calvin Habib takes her out at a draw 1 in a racing routine now. The daughter of Master of My Fate at a stakes mare final judgment. I think her last run is actually underrated because that second horse, or the horse who ran in that race, Royal Force, came out and won a very hot graduation just about a week ago. So there's a lot to like about number 3, Too Late Marmite. She got cheek pieces on for the first time. She obviously comes out of the stalls a little bit slowly. If the cheek pieces get her out on terms, then she warrants her place at the top of the boards, and be no surprise if she won. And then for number 2, Soldier's Eye, Graham, I don't know what to do with her. I've been with her so many times. She's not had the rub of the green. She's been unlucky in a couple of starts, especially on the 15th of November. Last time she gave her all behind Miss Scaletta, but I think just the weight turnaround, the fact that she was giving weight away to Miss Scaletta, counted against her. Penultimate start behind Oxalis Gold. Oxalis Gold won a Group 3 in Durban a few weeks ago, so that all works out well. There's so much to like about number 2, Soldier's Eye, but when is she going to get the job done? I know James de Harbour runs a lot of work for Wayo Mawing, so maybe that familiarity will feed through in the race. Who knows? Sort of clutching at straws with number 2, Soldier's Eye, but the case is there for her, and I'd rather be with her the day that she wins than against her, because that will be a bitter day if I did write her off and say not today, because she's going to get it right one of these days.
Well, interestingly, it's been 368 days since Soldier's Eye registered her 3rd career victory. So just about a year ago, 365 days would have been the anniversary of her 3rd win. So sometimes horses run in cycles and strike annually on pretty much the same day. So Soldier's Eye, exactly a year ago that she registered her 3rd career win. And as Alistair said, when you look at the names that she's run behind, Lady Fallon on 2 occasions, Confederate, Oxalis Gold, and Scaletta, certainly in a race of this nature, she might be able to lump 61 kilograms to victory. But let's move on. Race 6, which is the first leg of Jackpot 2. It's a fillies and mares 75 divided handicap over 1,600 metres, off at 3 o'clock. Number 1, Pearl in Her Crown, is at 6-1. Number 3, Wagram, is at 4-1. 4, Secret Recipe, 5-1. The favourite is number 5, Tana Marie, at 5-2. Number 6, Streisand, is at 11-2. Those are the ones quoted in single figures. Another trappy fillies and mares handicap, this time at a much lower level, the 75 level. Where do we go here?
Well, you want to know what's an absolute laugh here? Number 10, Count Your Chances, who I actually put in the race, was beaten nearly 5 lengths by Pretty Analia. I know she ran under sufferance, and all the evidence is there, but got a 12-point penalty for being beaten nearly 5 lengths last time at 100-1. The winner, Pretty Analia, got 8, and the second was Blind Ambition, who's interesting when looking at this race, has come out and won and is now rated in the mid-90s. So I can actually have number 3, Count Your Chances in this race, despite the fact that it goes against absolutely every inch of my fibre for being penalised as a loser, and not just being penalised to the tune of £12. But with that said, Streisand's also got to come into the race. Ran that pretty earlier race as well. Finished just behind Count Your Chances and comes in here off similar weight terms. I think Streisand might have a little bit more to come, being an underdeveloped 3-year-old. I see that the kitchen sink still being thrown at this daughter of William Longsword with all the earmuffs and all the paraphernalia, but now gets Gavin Lorena on board. So for what that's worth, she could represent a little bit of value. And then I've got number 1 on the card, Pearl in Her Crown, Graham. She's the one I'm going to actually lead with. I used the Do It With Diamonds form as a reference point with One Religion a race earlier. This obviously is splits as far as the divided handicap is concerned. This is the lower race, and if you put One Religion in the race a race earlier against much stronger, despite of a light weight, then Pearl in Her Crown off this lighter version of the handicap, but off the heavier weight under Simango Kamala, and the fact that she's fit with a little bit of rain that's been around on the half vault of late, although I don't think these horses coming into this race would have been too badly affected, or this race meeting would have been too badly affected. I think her when I say dominant front-running style, but her preferred style of running, of going off to the front, she might be difficult to peg back here. So I've got number 1, Pearl in Her Crown, bracketed as my top choice, but I do think it's a little bit more open than that.
Yeah, it does look very trappy. In fact, Tana Marie and Wagram features on the front cover of the book, the computer form. They both recently won their maidens and step into handicap company for the first time. It is interesting, that huge hike in the ratings for number 10, Count Your Chances, given that she's a 5-year-old mare that's clearly not improving, and she's failed to win in an MR66 level of a much lower rating. In fact, rarely runs a place. So it's going to be interesting to see how Count Your Chances goes. But the horse to follow, and attractively priced at 6-1, could be Alistair's Find in the race, number 1, Pearl in Her Crown. So to the first leg of the final pick 3. This is an MR66 2,000 meters. And number 2, Carnello, is at 5-1. 3, Storm Ahead is at 4-1. Number 4, Whispers of War, is at 4-1. 5, Man's Night, interesting, gets the Cornell collar for the first time in his career. Number 6, Gamer, is at 4-1. Number 9, Silver Flare, will race with Blinkers. That is a late declaration. Blinkers go on number 9, Silver Flare. Number 10, Japanese Maple, is at 7-1. So another trappy handicap. The average merit rating is 60. It's a handicap at the 66 level, and it's over 2,000 meters on the inside track. Take it away, Alistair.
Yeah, Graham, there's so many horses in this race that are on my radar, but they have such stamina queries, like number 2, Carnello. I'll wait for him on the inside track time and time again, but over 2,000 meters, I'm not sure. And number 4, Whispers of War, another one of my golden oldies. Again, I think he's going to be stretched over this trip. I know that he's won over this distance before, but I'm more eagerly waiting him over sort of that middle distance range, where I think he runs more consistently and runs more honestly. So those are 2 horses that I've sidestepped that I generally don't. Then we've got the maiden, number 5, Man's Night, who's still an entire, having a second run after a break, and his first run back wasn't all that bad, but I've left him out as well. I've gone 6 and 10. I just think that they're most reliable as far as the place accumulator is concerned. To have a bet on the nose on either of these horses is not something that I would. It's not something you're going to find me doing at the Toad window. But all the same, I think that they'll run fair races. Number 6, Gamer's got a bad drawn 10, but he does get used up in the early stages of his races. Muzieni on board. 4, St. John Grey. He's a one-time winner from 30 starts. To talk about exposed and you know where you are, but at least he's running consistently. I thought it was penultimate start actually behind Avo on Toast. Although Avo on Toast fully giving weight to filly against boys and ran off level weights. I thought that was a fair run from number 6, Gamer, and the extra distance is something that we also need to try and work out and sort of put a question mark against, but I just think that he might be well set up here in a race of this nature, number 6, Gamer. And then I've got number 10, Japanese Maple. When Gavin Lorena rides for Waishimaming over the last 12 months, 19 times they've teamed up for 6 wins and 8 places, so that's a good enough strike rate to recommend. He's got a draw. It's his 3rd run after a mini break, after a 2-month break. For me, that's not the longest layoff. This penultimate start has worked out very well, with Poplar Pot coming out and winning the Oaks Trial, but other winners include Moment, who's not looked back, Romeo's Magic, who was sadly scratched over the weekend, and Teo Toriata, and there are a few others, including Ideal Future, who keeps running places, and Nuclear Force, who keeps running places out of that form line. So that's a massive boost to the chances of number 10, Japanese Maple, who's also had his rating trimmed down by another £2. And also, interestingly enough, Graham, I mean, there's some poor victims out there with number 10 Japanese Maple, but I don't think lose the faith in him. Big money on him in his penultimate start, big money on him in his last start. There's no value in him at the moment, with 5-1 at the time of recording, so they're not going to have a big plunge as far as the market is concerned. But for those that have been burnt with number 10 Japanese Maple, don't lose the faith in him, because I think he might be in the right place at the right time.
6 and 10 for Alistair in the 7th race as far as the place accumulator is concerned. We go on to the penultimate. It's a novice handicap over 1,200 metres. It's off at 16.07. It's the first leg of the final double. Number 1, Bosom Buddy, is a scratching, leaving us with just 7 runners to contest the 8th race. Number 2, Pennsylvania at 7-2. 3, Halcyon at 33-10. The firm favourite is number 4, Heavy Lies the Crown at 17-10. 5, There's a Light, is at 5-1, and 6-1 about the chances of number 6, Espinosa, a recent runaway maiden winner. Okay, so the favourite, Alistair, is number 4, Heavily Lies the Crown. Won well enough on debut, beating Tana Marie by 3 lengths. Tana Marie runs earlier on this card. There have been 2 direct winners from only 4 runners out of that form line. She's, of course, beautifully bred, being a 3-year-old daughter of Rafif, out of a Jet Master mare. How convinced are you regarding number 4, Heavily Lies the Crown?
To be honest, Graham, I'm to say the jury's out might be a little bit of a stretch. She'll probably come and win doing handstands yet again, but I don't think it's all that straightforward. She's the horse I'm going to lead with. The form line has been franked, as you say, by Tana Marie, who runs earlier on, and Gimme a Storm, who was beaten 9 lengths, who's come out and won. And then there have been place getters in the form of Winds of Grace, who runs earlier on, Blue Quartz and Bilingual. But she's taking on horses that are exposed at a reasonable level against 3-year-olds, including her stable companion number 3, Halcyon. And I don't think the 2 runs back from a break behind those grizzled veterans like Don't Shoot the Barman and then last start behind Taxi to the Moon are all that bad. I mean, if you had to put Taxi to the Moon in this race, he'd light up favourably. So I don't think it's going to be all that straightforward. I do think Halcyon's a runner, and then if you like a little bit of these 3-year-olds, I think the older horse that gets a little bit of weight from them, number 5, There's a Light, who's largely consistent, pound support last time, drops in distance, which I think is crucial to his chances, is also not a horse to take totally lightly. He beat a horse called Press On Regardless. I know it was a long time ago. Press On Regardless has kicked on through the divisions, but his last 2 starts have definitely lit up. The last 3 starts, actually, from Press On Regardless have lit up favourably among the horses that he's been running against and the consistency that he's running with. And last time he was beaten by Just Var, who's just been deadly since getting to the Highvelds and keeps on winning, and if not winning, keeps running places. So I think we'll learn a lot about number 4, Heavy Lies the Crown. She could be of good quality. She probably is of reasonable quality, but she's certainly going to feel a lot of sting in this race that she didn't feel on debut, where it was just an open opportunity, and she was just forward enough, fast enough, and good enough to beat what looks like a pretty well stacked up field in behind, with winners coming out left, right and centre. But I do keep number 5, There's a Light, in mind as a danger, and I think if number 4, Heavy Lies the Crown, does fluff her lines, There's a Light could be the one to pick up the pieces. And I'm also not totally rising off the other Fun Fury runner, number 3, Halcyon. I don't think he's all that bad either.
So there we go. That's a wrap of race 8. So to the lucky last, race 9, which is due off at 16:42. It's an MR72 handicap over 1,200 metres. 12 runners carded. We've had an early scratching in the form of number 3, Cerulean Dancer. Here's the betting as far as those quoted in single figures are concerned. 4, Vitalius, 4-1. 5, Kotinos, 7-1. 6, Nazar, 13-2. Number 7, There She Goes, is a weak favourite at 7-2. Number 10, Oriental Bouquet, is at 8-1. And number 12, Twice as Wild, who's drawn in pole position with just 52 to carry. That's at 11-2. Okay, so this is the final leg of the place accumulator, final leg of the pick 6. As far as the PA is concerned, you've gone with numbers 4 and 10. Tell us why.
Okay, Okay, so this is why Graham started with number 4, Vartelius. We've got the Lorena Waishong mowing factor yet again, back in a handicap. Last 2 starts came in a graduation plate. Last start he would have needed quite badly. Might have looked an ordinary run behind Buffalo Storm Cody, but that form line is extremely strong. Buffalo Storm Cody, a musical score, have come out and won, and Biofarmer and Grand Crescendo, who finished either side, have been beaten very close up as well. Grand Crescendo still rated north of 100, so I don't think there was too much disgrace from number 4 Vartelius in his first run back in after a break. If he's dusted off those cobwebs, there's no doubt that he's a massive player in the race, and no surprise to see him towards the top of the board. It could be a good day for Waishong mowing. If he's still short of a run, this horse number 10 Oriental Bouquet has popped up on the radar of late like you cannot believe, Graham. Her rating has come down from 99 to 58. Many will remember 2022 Hollywoodbets Durbanville, where she was the subject of an objection in one of the earlier races and was overruled. And since then, she's just battled to get into stride, find a gear, lost her form. She may have been rated too highly. She was stuck in PE and not ripping up any trees. But Grant Maroons inherited this daughter of Dan on Platina. She got an awful draw, yes, over 1,200 meters on the Turffontein inside track. That's not going to be ideal, but she makes up a lot of ground. And I think the biggest reference point with number 10 Oriental Bouquet is just watch her last run behind Super Awesome. For me, she was making a winning move, and she was bowled over. Chase Morjan did very well to stay in the saddle, and for all those reasons, I think number 10 Oriental Bouquet could be well set up to give another honest run. If she doesn't win and she doesn't get too much luck in running, I still think that she'll go close enough. So 4 and 10 are definitely my numbers in the place accumulator. Candace's runner, number 6 Nazario, been desperate to get him onto the inside track for a while. He grows an extra leg there. Might just need the run, optimistic that he can get into the money. He might give us a little bit of a thrill, number 6 Nazario, but there is a race coming up for him that might be more to his liking over the same course and distance, funny enough. But a place here would go down well. Bit of luck, might be able to get a blow in, but coming back from a break might just be behind the 8 ball.
So there we go. Nazar's course and distance form is certainly eye-catching. 3 starts for 2 wins and a third. Quick word about number 7. There she goes, placed in the last 2 starts.
Yeah, she's not out of it, Graham. James de Harbour takes the right. Pacifiers go on. Also not at the rub of the green in her last 2 starts, being balked at her penultimate starts and also carried and steadied at her last run. She's got form to Green Sapphire, who's gone through the divisions as well. Been a long time since her last win. I'm convinced that she's got another one in her. I wouldn't totally rule her out of the pick 6.
So there we go. That's a wrap for race 9. Now, as Alistair mentioned during the course of the show, his bet of choice for this meeting on the inside track at Turffontein is the place accumulator. It's a 144 Rand place accumulator perm. Take us through it, Alistair.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the exotics are going to pay quite nicely on this card, so you might have to spend a bit to win a bit. 1:15, PA gets underway. Race number 3, 2 and 7, Winds of Grace and Concordia. By Banker 2, Curtis Condor. You've got to set out your stall somewhere. By 2, 3 and 8, Soldier's Eye, Too Late My Mate, and 1 Religion. 1, 6 and 10, Pearl and Her Crown, Streisand, and count your chances on the back of a massive rating hike for being a loser. By 6 and 10, Gamer and Japanese Maple. And I think the last 2 races, I think we're going to be fine here. 4 and 5, Heavy Lies the Crown, and There's a Light, and 4 and 10, Vartelius and Oriental Bouquet.
As always, Alistair, thanks very much for your time, for your input, and we look forward to this race meeting, and hopefully everything goes according to plan.